recently, because a lot of people have been doing some soul searching, you know. I had someone I went to school with like 10 years back. They sent me a message apologizing, calling me a racial slur in a maths class all those years ago. They sent this big message just saying, like, man, I was a different person back then. I was so ignorant. And I saw that message, right? And I was like, it's good to see that you're not racist.
12 minutes.
But we weren't in the same maths class.
What time?
It's funny because it was me. I just wanted to fuck with him. I feel bad for all of these kids who had like their exams fucked up because of the algorithms. Like it made me think of my cousin because he failed his exams last year, so that was just his honest stupidity. You know what I didn't like about what my cousin did when he failed his exams? I didn't like when he got his grades back. He posted his grades on Instagram with the caption, "The haters are plotting my downfall." I saw that and I was confused. For somebody to plot your downfall, you need to be at the top of something in the first place. You can't fall from the bottom. That doesn't make any sense. I feel bad for my cousin as well because his parents, they put a lot of pressure on him growing up. They wanted him to have a strong, powerful name growing up, so they named him Success. Which is like, it's a bit too on the nose, isn't it? It's a bit too much pressure. And also, I feel like enough time has passed now to see that that name clearly hasn't worked out for him. One of the best ever. I call him Pharmacist. I think that's a far better name for him. Because he's a drug dealer now, so it makes more sense.
Please welcome the very, very funny Kerry Godley Run.
It's so nice to be out, isn't it? I mean, parenting has been like Laura was saying, parenting in lockdown. We had good days and bad days, you know. A bad day was when my son had an allergic reaction to a bath bomb because he drank it. I said to him, why did you do that? He said, it was so blue and sparkling, Mummy. I wanted it on the inside. And you can't argue with that, can you? That's quite we've all been there, Brits. And I told my mum about it, and she went, what do you then do that for? It was such stupid things to parents, didn't they? Like, what do you mean, what did I let him do that? I didn't give him a curly whirly straw, did I? I didn't send him to Lush with a knife. Tell you the worst one people say to parents that winds me up is, where do you think they get that from? Tell you who says that? My mum. My mum says, where do you think they get that from? I'm like, where do you think I get this from? My daughter's 13, so my son's 10, my daughter's 13, so she quite liked lockdown, I think, in some way, because she's got all the tech, get a phone, she loves her phone, because kids, we love our phones, but kids love their phones. So I live in Gotham, she's like, oh, my precious phone, I'm precious. At the beginning of lockdown, I had the rules about screen time, and that all went to shit. Now they eat their breakfast with VR goggles, gaffer tape to their face. Lockdown was hard on different age groups. I'm 46, so it didn't hit me that badly. I quite enjoyed aspects of it. So I wasn't really excuses to go out less anyway. But I think the younger people, it must have been a lot harder, because obviously they want to go out. I remember that. I remember being young, and you want to go out all the time. I remember if I saw a gap in my diary, I'd be like, oh, fuck that, or the voices will come. Shit. You don't want to take any chances. A lot of the reason you want to go out when you're young, if I remember right, is because you want to get off with people, and you want to go out. Get off with people. That's the point of going out. I remember when I was young, I'd go to any old shit doing. I thought I could get off with someone. Anybody invite you to something, you were like, well, who's going to be there? Is there anyone there I can get off with? Well, go on then, I'll come to your dad's funeral, go on then.
We'll be back next week with more of the best new comedy around. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Spitting Image is back. You can watch the brand new series of the hit satirical sketch show from Saturday the 3rd of October exclusively on BritBox. Great fun for all the family tomorrow night here on ITV when Gino DeCampo is your host for the brand new series of Family Fortunes at 8 o'clock. And stay there for the news on the way next.
Take your time. Take us through it again. So we're talking about one body or two? 15 or 16.
Still not out patch for 4 years. He gets away with nothing.
Des. Watch the full series now on ITV Hub.
Now let's see what stories have been making the headlines this Saturday with the very latest ITV News.
Failing to self-isolate will be illegal in England, punishable by £1,000 fines. That's among several new measures the government's announced tonight to help battle a coronavirus second wave.
I think that anything to make certain that everybody can do their best to stop this building up again is absolutely great.
Also, her liberal ideology kept the US Supreme Court balanced, but what's next now that Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died? Thousands of football fans are allowed back in the stands this weekend, and
It's nice to be back. Such a special club to me.
Spurs fans rejoice. It's official, Bale is back.
This is ITV News with Maggie Omar.
Good evening. The government has announced new measures tonight to help combat the coronavirus second wave that Boris Johnson has admitted is inevitable. Failure to self-isolate when told to by the NHS in England will be illegal. The penalty? A fine of up to £10,000. But those in low-paid work will be given financial support if they have to stay at home. And this is why there have been 4,442 new UK cases in the last 24-hour period, and another 27 deaths, is our political correspondent Daniel Hewitt.
At his Chequers country retreat, the Prime Minister spent much of the day contemplating a nationwide retreat back into lockdown. With COVID rates still rising, ministers are mulling over whether to reimpose tighter restrictions across England.
We're looking at everything with less scientists, with the R values around the country, and with local authorities getting the best data possible. But as I said, we can avoid a lot of restrictions if we can stick to the rule set.
But the government fears some are not following the rules, and tonight have announced new measures to slow the spread of the virus. From September the 28th, it will be a legal requirement to self-isolate if you test positive or when told to by NHS Test and Trace in England, with fines starting at £1,000 if you break the rules, rising to £10,000 for repeat offenders. But those on low incomes forced to self-isolate and unable to work from home will be entitled to a £500 payment to cover lost earnings.
If we weren't seeing such a lot of compliance with the precautions, the situation would be much worse now. And I think that anything to make certain that in the coming months everybody can do their best to stop this building up again is absolutely great.
But it may not be enough, and tonight we understand the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, is pushing the government for the capital to be placed under similar restrictions seen in the northeast and parts of the northwest, where bars and restaurants now must close at 10 p.m. and households can't mix, as Labour urged the Prime Minister to hold an emergency meeting of Cobra.
We'll do whatever it takes to support the government if the evidence says that's what we need to do. And it didn't have that lockdown. But I'm incredibly frustrated because the government haven't been speaking to other parties, the nations, Wales and Scotland, and the mayors across the country as well. It's really important that the Prime Minister does reach out.
To avoid regular lockdowns, the government is under pressure to ramp up testing. But in the northwest, where COVID rates are high and rising, testing at this site in Manchester today appeared very low. Little sign of the recent spike in demand, as the Prime Minister considers how to deal with a second spike of the virus.
And Daniel's here with me in the studio. Daniel, with these local restrictions seemingly growing, it sort of feels like we're sliding towards more restrictions being imposed everywhere in England. It feels like that, doesn't it?
Well, right now the levels of infection are about what they were in late February. If they carry on the rate they are, will soon be at the rate they were in mid-March, and that's when hospitalisations and deaths started to rise. And that is why the idea of these nationwide restrictions being seriously considered in Downing Street. Not a full lockdown of schools, businesses staying open, but things like curfews on bars and restaurants, households not being able to mix anymore. Remember, millions of people in North England are currently living under these restrictions. And we understand the Mayor of London, that's what he wants to see in the capital. A source of the Mayor's office has told us tonight that introducing these measures could could prevent the need for a fuller lockdown that we saw in March. The government really wants to avoid that. We know lockdowns work in slowing the virus, but they also do slow down the economy, and the government will avoid that, of course.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, a new battle has opened up tonight in the culture wars between the conservative American right and the liberal left, and it follows the death of the Supreme Court's most progressive judge, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The ideology of her successor could sway the call for a generation. So President Trump will try to rush to fill the void, whilst Democrats fight to delay the choice until after the election and the possible President Biden. Here's our Washington correspondent, Robert Moore.
On hearing of Justice Ginsburg's death, hundreds of people gathered spontaneously at the Supreme Court. Some wept, and others prayed and sang. For liberal America, this is a severe blow. The woman who symbolized their cause on the highest bench in the land died on the eve of an election, adding to the already high stakes here.
She was a champion for women everywhere and for basically anyone who is underprivileged in this country. And she was a fighter for people who have no voice. I mean, she's a hero for women everywhere. And I think that my life is better today than it would have been 30 years ago because of her.
America is mourning the loss of a legal giant and a liberal icon. It is also bracing for the most monumental political fight imaginable. One argument erupted even on the steps of the court as we were there. The timing gives President Trump the opportunity to swing the Supreme Court decisively and for a generation to the right. He learned of the news from reporters after coming straight from a campaign rally. The music still playing.
Just now. I didn't know that. I just got it enough for the first time.
He can now nominate his third justice.
You led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg had been on the court for 25 years and had become an unlikely rock star to those on the American left and to minorities who feel their basic rights are under assault. She had a single guiding principle.
To judge people on the basis of what they look like.
Known to everyone by her initials, the question of who replaces RBG will consume America and inflame political tensions here further. She is reported to have told her family her dying wish was her successor be chosen by the next president. RBG will be remembered for her fierce defense of civil rights and of equality for all. Robert Moore, ITV News, Washington.
2 people have died and 14 others are injured following a shootout at an illegal house party in New York State. Police say more than 100 people were at the gathering, which broke the state's COVID-19 restrictions. The Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has posted a photo of himself back on his feet in a Berlin hospital where he is recovering from Novichok poisoning. And a rare Mediterranean hurricane has hit Greece. At least 2 people are dead and 1 missing in the torrential rain and flooding. Thousands of football fans are returning to stadia this weekend as part of a government-approved pilot scheme, but attendance has been limited to 1,000 at each of the EFL test venues, and strict social distancing measures are in place. Anna Geary went to see how it worked.